Jeez. Welcome back to my podcast. This is I'll Call You Right Back podcast. This is my podcast. I'm proud as fuck of it. You know, this is episode 40. That's a huge deal. Maybe not to you, but for me, it is a huge deal. And, I'm just pumped. I'm really excited about this, and I appreciate everyone out there that's listening right now. I see numbers consistently growing every week. We have new listeners every single week, and it is motivating. A couple things to go over. Last week, someone texted me that I'm friends with and said that he was folding clothes at his house right next to his window, and his mailman walked up and put mail in his mailbox, and my friend Eric Gogol heard my voice. And he said that he yelled out the window, "Hey man, are you listening to a podcast?" And the guy said, "Yes, I am." And it was my podcast. And I guess they had a little conversation, and he was like, "Oh, that's sick. That's my friend." And the postman said, "Yeah, man, I love the dude. I listen to that podcast every week." And, shout out to that postman. I cannot remember his name, but I appreciate you listening, man. That made my entire day. Hearing random people that enjoy listening to me talk to these guests that I find really makes me just super happy, and it makes me motivated to keep this thing going. A lot of big news coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm very excited to announce it, but a couple of things that I wanted to get to before we get to our guest this week. First of all, A Star is Born. I took my wife to see A Star is Born opening night. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, A Star is Born is a remake of a movie that was, I believe, in the 70s, maybe the 80s. I don't really know. I didn't watch the original. But the remake is with Bradley Cooper, a bad motherfucker, and Lady Gaga, a bad bitch. She is incredible, and he is incredible. The movie is incredible, and I highly suggest anyone out there go and check it out. Bradley Cooper took 2 years of intense music lessons and training to brush up his voice and learn how to play the guitar. And, the movie was it was unreal. Everything about it. Cried my fucking eyes out. Me and my wife were real into it. She's obsessed with Lady Gaga, so she loved it. And, who doesn't like looking at a good looking woman? And I mean, Bradley Cooper's definitely a handsome man, so you can't really go wrong with that. And they're both just so fucking talented. It's sickening. But definitely check that movie out. But to get to the horror theme of it all, I also watched Halloween, the original Halloween, 1978. I probably haven't seen it since I was maybe 12, 13 years old. And me and my wife rewatched it. And, it doesn't hold up that much for me. People are probably going to scold me for this, but it was a good movie, but it was pretty cheesy. I guess it was revolutionary for its time back in the day, which is understandable. But then you have movies like The Exorcist, which came out, I think, in like 1973, where they say fucked up shit for being 1973. I couldn't even imagine like being someone seeing that movie whenever it came out the first time. Just intense, very, very intense. But the original Halloween was cool. It's cool because it holds a nostalgic factor, but other than that, it wasn't that good of a movie. I mean, it was just, there was a lot of open ends, a lot of holes, a lot of bullshit that happened. But I'm going to try to work my way through all the Halloweens. I just watched Halloween 2. Well, I actually liked Halloween 2 a little bit better. I mean, definitely corny, definitely cheesy, but I guess they're just a nostalgic factor. Michael Myers is fucked up, though. One thing that I did not get about the original Halloween that really annoyed me, in the beginning they show Michael Myers as a young child killing his sister, Judy, and, he looked like a normal kid. But then at the end of the movie, whenever he's coming after Jamie Lee Curtis at the top of the steps, She rips his mask off right before the doctor shoots him 6 times, and his face is like deformed like Sloth from the Goonies. And like that right there, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how does that even happen? You know, the dude's just supposed to be psychotic in a mental hospital, but his face just became deformed. I don't know. I didn't get it. But yeah, number 2 was cool, though. A lot of horror movies that I've been trying to rip through. There's another one on Amazon that I came across that's called Intruders, which was actually pretty refreshing of a movie. Martin Starr is one of the stars of the movie. If you don't know who Martin Starr is, he was in Freaks and Geeks. He was in Adventureland. He was the nerd in Adventureland that smoked a corncob pipe. And, you know, like, whenever I think of that guy, I just think of, like, him as a nerdy character. But he plays, like, a fucking nut job in this movie, and it was pretty good. But definitely check that out if you have Amazon Prime. It's called The Intruders. But, yeah, so for the reason everyone's here, I got awesome guests for you this week. Yes, I said guests. This is the first podcast where there is 2 people. This week I talked to Macabre Noir, who is a performer, artist, owner of the Weeping Glass, which is a oddity and antique shop located in Allentown on Warrington Avenue. And an oddity and antique shop, for people that do not know what that is, they have everything in this store from, you know, shark teeth, animal skeletons, vintage art prints, you know, just relics, religious relics, skulls, fucking crazy shit. Just so many things that I didn't even know what everything was, but it's just, they're odd items, and definitely check it out. I mean, I don't even know how to really describe it. Macabre tries to explain to me in the beginning of this podcast, but she is also doing a show called the Atrocity Exhibition, which is a performance, a 360-degree live performance at the Rex Theater the weekend of October 19th. I believe there's still tickets. You can go to the Rex's website and try to grab tickets there. There's only general admission left. This is the 10th and final year that they are doing Atrocity, so it sounds awesome. You're going to hear about it in the end of this podcast. But before we get to all this, some creepy shit happened that I felt was necessary to leave in the podcast. So usually I'm pretty good with like sound and kind of editing out any like fucked up parts of a podcast, but 40 episodes I've done, and 40 episodes I have never had this happen. Okay, so as soon as we start recording, the mics start picking up some crazy clicking noises, and it was just super bizarre to me because, like, I mean, this place there was an allure to this building, you know, like a spooky allure. There's all kinds of things that you're going to hear about that they are involved with in this podcast. But the first 6 minutes of this podcast, you could hear some crazy shit going on with the audio. I know that it's there, and I know that it's 6 minutes of something happening, but I felt that it was important to leave in because it added to the experience of me being at the Weeping Glass and sitting down with Macabre and our feature guest, which is Lilith DeVille. So Lilith DeVille was there setting up some things for Atrocity, and he hopped on a microphone and helped Macabre explain what they do at the Atrocity exhibition that is going on October 19th, and he is fascinating as well. We talk about all kinds of different stuff in this episode, everything from, the oddity shop, to them working at Scare House, to what they were like growing up, to Atrocity and how that came about, and they give us some history about Halloween and jack-o'-lanterns, and it's just a fascinating episode. And I know this is a long intro, but I felt like it was important for me to address what was going on. But I'm going to quit talking your ear off as usual. So without further ado, an awesome episode 40 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast. And I appreciate everyone that's stuck with me here. I am not slowing down anytime soon. We got some big things coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for all this. But without further ado, episode 40 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Macabre, Noir, and Lilith DeVille.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. I'll you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. Like I said, I appreciate you getting me in time.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely. I'm very curious about everything you have here.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of things in here that I'm very curious about. So what I'll do is I'll basically anytime I decide on who I'm going to talk to someone, I'll look through all their social media.
Yeah.
And try to, get some ammunition and things that spark my interest. Do you hear that clicking?
I do, yeah. It's like a weird buzzing in the background. Is it because the mics are too close?
I don't think so. I think that we're good. No. Yeah.
It's not anything in the room.
No. It's not the room, but you don't hear it now, right?
No, I don't hear it now.
We're good.
But I did hear it earlier, yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to describe what this place is, what would you say this is?
The shop in general or the
Yes.
entire operation? The shop in general is just kind of like an oddities and odd art store.
An oddities and odd art store.
Yeah, because we specialize in everything from like antiques to like bizarre artwork. We have like some novelties.
Yeah, I see all kinds of different things as far as I saw shark teeth out there. Mm-hmm. I saw very, very vintage photos and art prints.
Yeah.
Which it seems like you have a big variety of things that you have in here.
We do. We kind of specialize in all things weird.
I don't usually have people introduce themselves, but I feel like that you should introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Kelly.
Okay.
I'm also known as Macabre Noir.
Uh-huh.
More people probably know me by that name than they do my actual legal name.
Okay. Now, that's why I asked you to introduce yourself. Now, you have an alter ego?
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
Now, where does that come from?
It started back in 2009 when we launched our art collaborative. We have Marissa Macabre's House of Oddities.
Yes.
And it's myself and my business partner and best friend, Aaron.
Okay.
And we were trying to come up with a name for it. And my mom was reading an article on Edward Gorey.
Now, I have to tell you, I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You were telling me out there, and
yeah,
I didn't want to be
like, no, I have no idea.
I didn't want to be like, I have no idea who that is, so I just let you explain it. No?
Yeah, no, all good. So Edward Gorey is an artist that basically like 1920s through like the 1940s, DeVille, correct me if I'm wrong. Primarily, I think like his peak was in the 40s. 50s? 50s, early 60s. Okay, so he did a lot of black and white drawings about terrible things.
Yeah.
So he wrote like the Gashly Crumb Tinies and a bunch of like more adult stories. Like they're written in this kind of in the format of children's books.
Yeah.
But they're not something you would read to your children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
they
yeah.
have a lot of like morbid context and a lot of adult context. But he resided in Massachusetts, actually, and he has a house up there, which is his entire collection, and it was his studio, and he was also an oddities collector and dealer.
Oh, yeah.
So those pieces that I showed you out there were part of his collection and came from the Edward Gorey house, because the Edward Gorey Charitable Trust took over his house and turned it into a museum.
Wow.
After he died. So
I don't know what that is.
that weird buzzing again.
I have no idea what that is. It's killing it. I don't know if it's the chords or what.
Yeah, it seemed like last time when you touched that one.
Okay. So Edward Gorey, he was. You said them paintings or them How old
They
are
were
they?
part of his collection.
Yeah.
But those particular pieces are from 1794.
1794.
Yeah, so you're talking pioneer.
Yeah.
So pre-Civil War.
This is killing me right now.
Is that what it is? Is it my headphones that's doing it? Hold on a minute.
I don't think it is.
Here, pause it for 1 second.
No, you're good. I don't know why it's doing that. It's never happened.
Yeah, no, that was really weird. And it only it seems like when you lean forward is when it was starting to happen.
That's why I'm trying to move around these cords and see if it's. I don't know. This is
Did it stop on your...
I'm pretty.
Did you get it to stop, or is it still doing it?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not doing it now, but
Maybe it's you. Like connections or something.
I'm gonna keep yours unplugged. You don't mind that, do you?
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can just have a regular.
I just don't know why it clicked like that. I've done 40 podcasts and that's never happened. It's the allure of the building.
Is this shop that you know?
Yeah, who knows? I think it's good now. It's
You're
not.
good?
It's not making any noises
Okay,
now.
No,
I'm probably gonna.
threw up.
What the hell? Now it's doing it again.
Is it? Is it the water bottle? It's
No.
weird. Is it me?
No, I don't.
So why have any electronics on? My phone.
I mean, I've never once had anything like this. It has to be the allure from the building. And if it's not, I think I'm gonna just chalk it up to that.
It's a ghost.
I think it makes a better story.
Tell me, Susan.
You were explaining Edward Gorey.
Oh yeah, I was explaining Edward Gorey.
Yes.
But so those pieces were part of his personal collection. He was also an oddities collector, so he has this entire collection of oddities. And a friend of ours, Sigrid Sarda, who was a wax artist, she actually had those in her personal collection and recently sold them to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you said what year again?
Those are 1794.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
So yeah, definitely the oldest thing I think I've ever had in my possession, and they're not for sale. Like when I got them,
yeah.
I knew immediately that I was not going to sell them; that they were part of the personal collection. So
Yeah, because I see some things out there that the one photo said I'm fragile.
yeah,
It's a photo of a guy, I guess.
yeah.
But the antique stuff is very interesting to me, just because over the years, where do you first of all you explained that this is an oddity and antique shop. How do you even get involved with doing things like this?
I just kind of fell into it, I guess. I travel a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a sideshow entertainer as well as, a traveling artist.
Yeah.
So going to different cities and staying in different houses and seeing other people's collections just really got curious about it, honestly. And I've always been into weird things.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of the medical quackery that we have out there is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw the dentist tools.
Yeah, we have all the dental tools. I mean, even honestly, they had plates made out of uranium. They had lead paint back then.
Yeah.
Their funerary customs, compared to today's standards, were...
Even their medical kits, all the
everything.
medicine that they use. I saw, I was just Googling different things, and there was cough syrup, and you read the ingredients in there, and there was just crazy intense different chemicals.
It was back
and
when Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. And,
Yeah.
Pretty
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of phenomenal how far humanity has come since then.
Yeah,
So,
even in the last
human evolution.
the last 50 years, it's how much crazy shit has progressed.
Honestly, because you remember riding in the back of pickup trucks or whatever. Nowadays, everybody would be arrested.
100%. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Are you from Pittsburgh?
No, I actually grew up about 45 minutes north. I'm from a Butler area.
Oh, okay.
So a little town called Cabot, Pennsylvania.
Cabot, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, population 100.
Yeah. Now, was your family into the oddities? Not
No,
at all.
Not at all.
Wow.
No, my family was into colonial.
Okay.
My dad builds recreation colonial furniture.
Okay.
And they owned a shop, a furniture shop.
Yeah.
So they did that, actually. They were not into a lot of primitive stuff.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I am into the primitive stuff, like the old coffee grinders, the scythes, like all of the old tools, like
Yeah.
and how everything was so manual. So I do have an interest in those sorts of things, but they actually made a living out of recreating those. So
Wow. So your first exposure to this world is like, when did you get into all this stuff?
I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it was just this weird evolution. I can't tell you any defined point in my life when I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. It just kind of slowly happened.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've always been a collector of things. Like, I collect things.
Yeah.
You know, in the 90s, you know, you collect Living Dead dolls, like late 90s, early 2000s, you
Yeah.
know, I collected all of those. Anything that was weird.
Were you always into
You know?
like the horror type Halloween things?
Not until my 20s. I mean, I've always been into like darker stuff. I remember when coming out of high school, when I was trying to get jobs in like graphic design, I kept hearing that my work was very dark.
Yeah.
From everybody. Every interview was like, your work's a little dark. You know, but really, when I was a kid, and my mom brings this up all the time, like, I was a total chicken shit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was scared of everything. I wouldn't watch horror movies. Like, I had a super overactive imagination. So if I saw something like that, it existed.
Wow.
So I don't know at what point everything turned, and I actually, I guess, started controlling those weird fears. And like now, you know, I worked for Scarehouse for a number of years, working on their stuff, which as a child I would have never gone through that place.
Yeah.
You know,
It's probably intense in the daytime to see all that stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know when that shift happened. My mom's always been a big fan of Halloween.
Yeah.
We used to do the full yard haunts where we'd have, you know, the haunted cemetery, and I was happier in a costume jumping out scaring kids than I was, you know, but if somebody would have done that to me, I'd have shit my pants. I'd have been gone, you know?
Yeah,
So-
I was pretty similar. I always enjoyed Halloween as far as like dressing up, doing the makeup, and kind of being involved like that. But I was always pretty terrified of everything. Movies, whenever I was younger, I watched movies very, very regularly, horror movies and everything, and I would always just scare the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
Even with terrible B movies like The Faculty.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, I talked about that on a couple podcasts ago. That movie terrified me.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre to be scared of something like that.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get
But-
it. I was the same way. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was the one I was terrified of as a kid.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I watched it on repeat
Oh, my.
all the time, but when the Large Marge part
I
came
knew
up,
it. That's what I was
or the
going to ask you.
clowns, I would get up and walk behind the couch and sit there until I heard it was over, and then I would get back up and sit down and watch it. My mom said she would just watch me get up and down off the couch the entire movie.
Yeah, I'm not a clown guy.
Neither am I.
Yeah, like I saw your front window, and I was like,
Sorry.
"Geez, no, it's
Yeah.
all right." I've never been like a big clown guy. I think it ruined it for me whenever I was younger.
It ruined it for everybody.
Everyone, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tim Curry was just fascinating
Awful.
as that. Did you watch the new It?
No.
I wasn't that disappointed in it. I didn't
really?
hold.
I've heard great things, but
I didn't hold a bar to it. I mean, you can't compare them.
Clowns make me very uncomfortable, and I got to tell you about the clown in the front window. I sculpted that.
Yeah,
And when I was here, I was alone in this back room making that clown, being uncomfortable with clowns.
yeah.
And when I was sculpting it, I could only look at exactly what it was I was sculpting. If I backed up and looked at the entire mask, like I had to like put it away for a little while. 'Cause
Wow.
it made me that uncomfortable. But
That's pretty interesting.
yeah, and it's actually one of the poster children of like all of our entire events, and now it's in our store window. So
Yeah, I was looking at your Instagram and I saw that you yourself make dolls.
yeah.
Now, is that all? You've always been into stuff like did that come early?
I've always been into art.
Yeah.
As soon as I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my making shapes, like that's all I did all day. My mom would give me a stack of scrap paper, and I'd have a pencil, and I would draw out stories. And just instead of playing with dolls, I would make the pictures talk. So my boxes and boxes and boxes of scrap paper.
It's a very active imagination.
Yeah, extremely. I was involved in all my art classes. I did stage crew where I was painting sets and doing all the billboards for the shows. You know, I've just kind of always been creating something.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that kind of started evolving when I got into high school art classes, and I learned sculpture and I learned plaster. I learned outside of painting and drawing.
Yeah.
And so I painted, and then I started using mixed media, and then I liked how the mixed media made things like seem to jump off of a page, and then I just got right back into sculpting. And to me, the dolls and like the little creatures that I make, it's like it's different than painting. Like you're bringing this weird tangible thing, this creature into the world,
creating like a physical, being almost.
Yeah, kind of. So I got really into it. I almost got obsessed with it. And recently, Aaron, who primarily painted too, when I started doing all these dolls and sculpting all the time, he started also, because we've been working together for so long. We feed off of each other. We use each other's supplies. He started doing them, like all these pumpkins that are sitting behind you with the weird teeth and eyes. Those are all his. Like he's got really into sculpting and creating all of these like
those are
creatures.
Fascinating.
Yeah, right?
I love all the old, like any sort of like vintage Halloween decorations or anything like that. They always, it's always appealed to me. Even though it scared the shit out of me, it was always just...
They're the worst.
Black and orange, and were always like a big deal. All the monster movies and everything, they kind of appealed to me. So that's kind of what made me interested in this whole aspect of it all. Like obviously, October, I wanted to try to get spooky Halloween related guests.
Yeah.
And just because I feel like, some people might know the cookie cutter, like Hocus Pocus.
Right.
But there's more to it, and I myself don't know too much about it, and I feel like you have a pretty good knowledge on it.
Yeah, I live Halloween.
Much. Yeah, you live it
all year.
Because like you're in this shop all year, and like this is pretty much I would call this Halloween horror themed, like somewhere.
Yeah, everybody always asks what we're doing for Halloween, and we're like,
it's all year. It's every day.
I mean, this is it.
Now, would you classify that as like Halloween horror, or is it like, I feel like that's like almost underselling it, what you do?
I mean, I guess it just depends on who's looking at it and their perspective of it. There are some people, like we were talking about that earlier, there are some people that walk in here that are really intimidated and think it's scary. Yeah. There's kids that won't come through our doors or try to dare each other to come in.
I bet.
But there's other people that, this is normal every day for them. So, I mean, I guess it just kind of... It depends on who you're talking to, really.
That's a good point.
In my mind, like, my house, I have my kitchen is all done in black and orange and white. It's all Halloween.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have, like, funeral purple in all the other rooms. And
that's awesome.
It basically looks exactly like the shop in my living room. Like, we just moved it.
With all the cool stuff. With all your favorite stuff.
All the old prosthetics and stuff like that. So for me, it's like I wake up in that every day. It doesn't faze me anymore at this point. Whereas somebody else who's not used to it or just, whoa,
Are you still scared of things easily?
I do not like being in the dark.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. I'm not a dark person
I
either.
do not like having my senses taken away from me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not cool with it.
Yeah, it's just the vulnerability. Mm-hmm. It's like you just don't know it. That's why I hate the ocean.
Me too.
I won't go in the ocean because like I just don't like not knowing what's below me.
Right.
Even the river kind of freaks me out because like I just don't like not being able to see. People are like, oh yeah, the ocean's not a big deal, but like if it was clear, I would go forever.
Right.
But I don't.
If you were in the tropics and the other crisp water. No, I'm the exact same way. That's weird. I wonder if we have like the same weird phobia. Or like,
I'm terrified of it. I'll go up into like my calf maybe, but I get made fun of. My friends try to force me in there if we would go out on there, but it's just it's seriously like I get like short of breath and I get like severe like anxiety whenever
legit panic attack.
Yeah, legit panic attacks. Like I went to the Outer Banks with my wife a couple years ago, and she's like, "Just come out there." And I went up to my waist, and I like felt like I couldn't breathe because like, I know that there might not be things down there, but
there might be things down
there. There might be things down there, right? And I don't know how people just give out. Oh yeah, fuck it, we'll go all the way out there. And my brother's like floating out like 30, 40 feet, and I'm just like, there was hundreds of dollars out there. I would not go out there to get it.
Yeah, no. I went to Outer Banks one time in my life.
Yeah.
I did not go into the ocean. Everybody made fun of me. My boyfriend at the time went in and came back out, and he was sitting on the beach next to me, and he was like, why aren't these water droplets going away? And he started wiping his arm, and there were baby jellyfish all over him.
Oh my God. See, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, right?
I
was like, see, all of you are telling me I need to go in here.
I'd rather be around clowns than be in the ocean, honestly.
Baby jellyfish.
That's overwhelming. So whenever you were younger, like middle school, high school, like what kind of things were you into? Like, were you a normal kid?
I was just a normal kid.
Yeah?
Really? Yeah. I mean, I played with my gem dolls. I had my MC Hammer doll,
MC Hammer?
Oh, yeah.
Can't touch this, huh?
I was all into...
Could I
had
ask
that
you
on
your
cassette.
age?
I'm 36.
36?
Going on 37. Yeah, sorry, I had to do the math. Yeah.
I mean, some people don't want to tell.
Yeah, 37. I don't care.
And like, were you into? Now, how do I want to phrase it? Like, did you dress like you were into the whole thing?
No, not till high school.
Yeah.
Not till high school. And I think a lot of it was, I think the turning point, I know what the turning point for me was, actually. That I can pinpoint in my life. When I was in high school, like, my parents did not have a lot of money.
Yeah.
They were small business owners struggling. We just weren't a money family.
Yeah.
But a lot of the kids that I was hanging out with were coming from money families.
Yeah.
And they treat you very differently.
Yeah.
And I found, kids are cruel. Who you think's your
100%.
friend aren't your friends. But the people that were my friends were all of the weird kids. Were all the alternative kids, the kids with different colored hair.
Yeah, like I didn't want to say weird kids, but
Right.
like that's
But
like
the
I was
white upper middle class girl was not kind to me.
Yeah.
Whereas I found all of my comfort in these weird kids that were kind of like me. And inside I was always a little bit weirder, overactive imagination, but a need for friends makes a need to fit in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I found these people that didn't fit in, they were fascinating to me, and we had way more fun, and I didn't have to worry about anything
they
or
just
who I
weren't
was or how I
judgmental.
was. Right. And I think that's when the turning point really happened. I got introduced to metal music, I got introduced to goth music,
Yeah.
and that's when like everything changed. Was like late high school, I'd say probably 10th, 11th grade.
Were you a goth?
I thought I was a riot girl for a few years.
Yeah.
Burning bras and making zines and gonna change the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I lived in Butler, so there wasn't. What was I doing?
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing it. There was no internet. There was
No audience,
no
really.
license. There was no way. So and then I started getting into the goth phase, and then by the time I was in my early 20s, that's when it was in full force. So,
Yeah. In my experience with like high school, like goth, I surprisingly enough, I was a captain of the football team, but I gravitated more towards like the skateboarders, the people. I mean, the goths, if you even call them that. I mean, I guess you can't put anyone under a label. Some people prescribe to different labels, but
they're all accepting.
yeah, they're all accepting because like they're just. I mean, I guess weird is the way to say it, but I don't.
I'd say real.
Yeah, that's a good
real to
way.
themselves,
I don't
good
think
way.
weird is a negative way to
No,
describe
not at
people
all. No,
because
we have a hashtag Go Team Weird Kids. Like we're all about it.
yeah, you got to be weird.
Yeah.
But so your first when did you start collecting these different
Oddities.
yeah.
I would say in my mid 20s is when I really started.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember your first oddity that you?
I think the first thing I bought was a polio brace.
A polio brace.
Yeah, a polio leg brace
Wow.
with a shoe still attached.
Wha-
And then I think my second purchase was a collection of antique syringes, the big metal ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the huge plungers on them.
Where do you find things like these?
eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, eBay.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, like how you even get into that.
Yeah, and I can't even remember
Yeah,
why
yeah.
in the hell I was on there looking for anything, but that was the case. And then I became friends with Sarah Ford, who lives in Philadelphia. She's Decoratus Curious. She's an antiques oddity dealer and collector, and we became friends, and she's real into it, and like I was really inspired by a lot of her collection and the things that she was doing, her knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think that's what really she threw me over the edge, like as far as like her decorating and the way she arranges things and the way she does things is just it's impeccable, and so I draw a lot of inspiration from her for sure.
Yeah. Now, what did you do before you owned this shop?
I've done a number of things. I'm kind of how far back are we going?
I guess that's a good question.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do in your late 20s? Like what?
I actually started out, I was a store manager of Spirit Halloween
Yeah.
for a good many years.
How was that job?
It was It was there. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's the
I'm
best
sure it
of-
had its ups and downs.
It does have its ups and downs. Customers were the downs.
Yeah,
The ups were
absolutely.
you're working in a Halloween store with a bunch of costumes and you're having a blast with a bunch of other kids.
And this was in your late 20s?
Yeah.
So this is probably in the thick of the good stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was in the thick of the good stuff.
yeah,
like all the
because
big.
now it sucks.
Yeah, I got the original Hellraiser Pinhead animatronic with the lament configuration that lit up. It was my Christmas tree for years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I mean, it was back when all like those big collectible animatronics were there.
Yeah, because if you go in there now, it's all like
it's all shit.
fucking
Yeah,
Halo and
Yeah.
Fortnite and all these things, and it's kind of depressing. We were talking about how Spencer's like in its heyday, whenever it turned into the Halloween store, and like
yeah.
they always had awesome all the good masks and
Coincidentally,
everything.
my business partner, the other owner of this shop, worked for Spencer's.
Really?
While I was working for Spirits. Yeah.
That's crazy. It's
around the
crazy to
same
think
time.
that they're still around, Spencer's.
I'm shocked they're still around,
Right?
actually. Yeah.
Well, I just walked through the mall the other day, and I was like, I cannot believe Spencer's is still there. And there's
Still
other
exists.
places that are like filing for bankruptcy and stuff. And
Yeah.
Spencer's is still killing it.
Yeah, they
And
are.
it's all the real kids that still
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there and buy things. Yeah, I mean that's the Halloween stuff now. I feel is everything's very PC.
Mm-hmm.
The world, I mean, obviously the world we're living in nowadays is kind of different.
Yeah, yeah.
Back then it was a little bit more raw.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was absolutely. I mean, parents weren't censoring their kids or sheltering their kids as much either when it came to Halloween stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't see as many gory things. Also, the Halloween costumes are now safer and probably better made than the ones we wore. And you
Yeah.
remember those plastic masks with the trash bag that had like
Yeah,
an
like,
image on it? It's your parents put you in like a poor vision, like a vision obstructing mask in the dark, wearing a trash bag.
that's literally what I was just gonna say. I had a Dracula mask with like a collar, and you couldn't see out of it, and like it was back when you can't even trick or treat at night now. All the
No,
trick or treating is
no.
in the daytime. And
It's true.
It's really terrible. I
And
feel
it's
like
not
it
as
takes
long.
away
It's only
of
for
it.
2 hours. They only do it for a window of 2 hours now.
Yeah, where I live in Ingram, like I live right on a main road on Ingram Avenue.
Yeah.
So I think last year we gave out 1,000 pieces of candy. It was like 40 minutes of like.
Speed trick or treating.
Well, it was 2 hours, but our 40 minutes were. It looked like a Night of the Living Dead. There was thousands of people just walking by because they close our road. I live on a main road,
Yeah.
So they close the road and they have all these kids go down as almost like a parade, I guess you would call it. But
Yeah.
there was an insane amount. But I feel it takes away that it's in the daytime. It was
Yeah.
like Saturday morning at like noon.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. But like our old Halloween costumes were at night. I couldn't see out of it. Everything was just like probably wasn't the safest. Some of the materials and things like
probably
that.
all flammable.
Yeah, all flammable
Made of
and
lead.
all ridiculous. Yeah, made of lead. There was probably lead in everything. Yeah, so like Spirit. You said you were.
So I was the store manager for Spirit.
Yeah.
I did McKnight. I did South Hills.
You lived in Pittsburgh for a while, like around here.
No, I was living out in Cabot at that time. I lived in Pittsburgh for a little while, and then I moved away. I
Yeah.
went back home, and I just recently moved back here about 8 years ago, I'd say.
Okay.
But Aaron and I started doing all of this art stuff right around that time, and we were both living out there. So
Yeah.
and now we're both living here and in the same house and have our shop. But,
Now, what was after Spirit?
what was after Spirit? I took some time off. Actually, Spirit's really nice because like you're employed for so long, and then you have paid leave, basically unemployment, until they hire you back on when
Really?
season starts.
Oh, yeah,
again.
that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're a manager, because you're working like 80 hours a week for
Yeah.
8 months. So I would start working on my art and do that, and then shortly after that, I was contacted by Scarehouse, and they brought me on as their art director, and I did art direction for them for 3 years, maybe 4.
Now, what were your
3. Yeah, 3. That's right.
what were your what were your duties there as an art director?
Basically, it's just scenic design.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I guess, creating aesthetic, creating characters, working with your costuming team and your makeup team and all of your set painters and stuff like that.
Now, when did you leave there?
Oh, God. When did I leave there? Would have been 2015.
Were you there for Krampus?
I did Krampus. That was my design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm so happy you said yes, because I was going to ask you if you were there for Krampus, because that was my favorite thing of the entire scare house.
Nice. Oh, good.
I didn't know about Krampus. Obviously,
nobody did. That movie hadn't even come out yet. Yeah.
That's exactly my point.
Terrifying project.
The movie did not come out yet, and I thought that was such an interesting thing, because I was like, Krampus, like it's like Christmas type. And then we went through it, and I was like, this is, me and my wife talk about it still. It's like that was the coolest part of the entire thing.
That's
I really
great to
enjoyed
hear.
that.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
That's
yeah, that was a
small
lot
world.
of work. That was a lot of work. I mean, we had the actual Weta creations that came from Weta, all those puppets and animatronics.
Yeah.
And the artists all had to recreate like the godfather of puppetry's work. So
Yeah.
that was like a really intense project for sure, and we had very little time to do it. And
Now, how long of a period of time did you have to create
they usually
that?
start demolition of one haunt in like January or February, and then by like May and June you're building on the next one. So
Really?
basically, yeah, as soon as it's I wouldn't even say reasonably temperatured in there. It's freezing when you're doing demolition, but you know,
Oh, yeah.
at least yeah.
Now, whenever
no
you're coming up with a, I guess, would you call it a haunt? Like that's a section of
Yeah.
it. Like, do you have like storyboards and things like that, or you kind of
Oh
just?
yeah, absolutely.
build it as
Yeah,
it goes?
yeah. It's all conceptual sketching and storyboards. Summoning was great. They already had an idea in mind, and they brought me in originally to just design the lobby, and then brought me on board for the rest of the summoning.
What is the summoning?
The summoning was the old 1920s haunt that they had with the big theater and everything in it.
Oh yeah. Where
so
it had
that
all
was-
the chairs, and they had like
Yeah.
the wolves in the red cloaks.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the first one that I did. I did the lobby, and then I did the summoning, the trick or treat black and white haunt.
I'm in a video because of the summoning, because one of them things popped up and scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. They have night vision cameras everywhere.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, and I got tagged in a bunch of places on Facebook.
Nice.
And yeah, that's sick.
That's you. I have to look you up.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. We love haunted houses. Like, we go to all different kinds, and I enjoy all different ones, even if they're not like scary. You familiar
man.
with Castle Blood?
I'm familiar with Castle Blood. I love Castle Blood. It's one of the theatrical ones, and I dig that so much.
It's like, and people don't even know about this place. Like they know
Demon
about
House.
Yeah, Demon House is another
Demon
one.
House is my favorite. That's my favorite one.
That's and I mean, it's like a hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we would hit Castle Blood and Demon House because they're relatively in the same area.
Yeah.
But the scare house shit was it's interesting to know about, like, how all those come about. Like, do you pitch an idea for Krampus, or?
They came to us, actually. We were already working with them, and there had been talk back and forth about us creating a haunt in promotion for an upcoming film.
Oh, they
And,
approached you guys for that.
Yeah, we were already we were with Legendary Films for a couple of years, and we were doing a lot of work with Mike Doherty, who is the director of Trick or Treat
Oh yeah.
and the director of Krampus.
Yeah.
So when we did the summoning, the second year the summoning was in operation, we actually threw trick or treat Easter eggs in.
Yeah.
And then we did the trick or treat haunt, which was the black and white haunt that looked like pop-up book characters.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was based on Trick or Treat, and then Krampus came along. So we
What
were
a fascinating movie Trick
Yeah.
or Treat is.
Oh my, it's my favorite.
Yeah,
It's
I was
a
late to
holiday
the game
tradition.
on that. I was really late to the game.
I was fairly late to the game on that too, actually.
My tattoo artist told me about it. He was like, "This is more of like the history of Halloween," and I had no idea about it. I was more the generic, Friday the 13th, Scream, all that. But so they approached you, and you guys worked with Legendary as like a promo for that.
Oh yeah, you have to, and it was, and like I said, it was different than anything that I've ever done. It was very stressful. You can make something and then they can decide to change their mind and pull it out at any given time.
Yeah.
And you have to pull it out.
Now,
and a lot of them, they don't understand that your team is about an eighth of the size of what a Hollywood team would be. So they don't understand that when they put like you have a week left, that there's only like 6 or 8 people.
Yeah, that's what I was
building the whole thing.
Like what's so that's like a team like 6 to 8 people that are kind of knocking this whole thing out.
Yeah.
Jesus. So you're probably working all kinds of hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like 80-hour work weeks. It was very tiring. and the last thing I did was I went out to and designed if you've been out to the Imaginarium, the escape rooms out in Harmerville, Scarehouse was partnered with them too.
I was not at the escape rooms.
Okay, so
I've never been to one of them.
Yeah, the Imaginarium, they're fun.
What's the Imaginarium? Is that just like a themed escape room?
Yeah, it's a themed escape room. And we
Okay.
did the Houdini rooms. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I've always meant to go to one. It's just...
Yeah, that one,
need
it's
to line up with
Bricolage
people.
and Scarehouse partnered. So it's a really good escape room. It
That's
has like
pretty
a full
interesting.
story. It's very immersive, and that's what I liked about it so much, is that it's so immersive, and they really wanted it to be like over the top, artistic, beautiful, and like fully immerse you in the story when you walk in.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed what they have going on there for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool that you did the Krampus thing. That was, I swear, that was my favorite one that I've been through
That's
them.
awesome. That's great.
Now, why? Like, did you know about Krampus before they approached you?
I mean, we'd heard about it,
Yeah.
but we didn't, we had met with Mike Doherty and the CEO of Legendary prior to all of this
Okay.
about doing the trick-or-treat stuff, and it had been brought up. So we knew it was coming, but you signed confidentiality agreements and everything
Even
else.
before working with Scarehouse, did you know any of the lore of it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, the Krampus lore in general, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. We
yeah?
celebrate Krampus here at the Weeping Glass. We did a whole
Really?
Yule party here where it was all Eastern European Christmas legend, which
Wow.
they're all really dark.
Yeah, I mean,
None of it's
I had
happy and jolly. That was
idea
the
about
US.
any of it, and obviously that movie came out, and you saw it in the Scarehouse. And did you like the movie? Did you see it?
I did like the movie, actually. I thought it was really clever. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
I like Mike Doherty's use of color in every movie that he does. Like how Trick or Treat was all done in ambers, and it was very warm colored.
Yeah,
and then
very
how
warm.
Krampus was so cold and blue, which is why we did the haunt in those colors. Is
Yeah.
because he's a big fan of having his lighting match the feel of his films. So
Wow.
yeah, I respect him highly. He's an awesome guy.
Now, where did you usually pick up knowledge of all this stuff? Just
Research
through
and research and research and
just
research.
through
yeah.
black holes of
Yeah,
staying
basically.
online.
Yeah, exactly.
just one click to the next.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know anyone that even knew about that until the movie came out, and then I started reading a little bit more about it after. And the movie, I thought the movie was awesome. It really freaked me out. All the trolls, or were they trolls?
Yeah, they're elves.
Elves. That's
they're
it.
dark
yeah,
elves, basically.
Dark elves.
Yeah.
But they look pretty wild.
Yeah.
Now, after this Scarehouse stuff, this is where the Weeping Glass came in.
I mean, I took a couple of years. I mean, really to just kind of chill. I had my first actual Halloween where I got to go to other haunted houses. And,
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you don't get that when you work in the haunt industry. You don't get Halloween. Your
That's a good
Halloween is
point.
in the haunt.
That's a good
So I
point.
never really got to go to other haunted houses or really do anything for Halloween. That's when we work. That's when you make your money.
Yeah.
So, so I had a nice Halloween, and then we opened the shop up not too far out from that. But really, I'm at the point in life where I need to focus on my stuff and what I'm doing, and
Yeah, what you're passionate about.
what I'm passionate about. And Aaron and I have been working together for a very long time. We sold online primarily through an Etsy shop, and we traveled the East Coast selling our artwork at various events, which is how we met DeVille. DeVille got a hold of us through a mutual friend, and we went down there, and they did a big live cabaret show, and we had our art exhibited, and that's kind of how we got our start. And everybody's been after us for years to open a store, and we're like, no, we don't want the overhead, we don't want to bother with it,
Yeah.
But then this opportunity, actually, Nick from Black Forge was the one that got a hold of me and said, hey, there's a spot up the street
Really?
that's opening. Yeah,
He's
take
an
it.
awesome guy. He
Really,
really is.
honestly.
Both of them.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
pumped
yeah.
for-
Oh yeah.
Pumped
They're-
for what they do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That gets brought up on here all the time because people. I'll usually plug things that I'm just a big fan of. Restaurants, Streets on Carson.
Right.
You familiar with that place?
Yeah.
I love it there, and
Yeah.
Chef Matt is just an awesome person. So I kind of just enlighten people of the places because people still don't know about cool places like Black Forge. I told my buddy the other day he doesn't even live that far away, and I was like, "There's a black metal themed coffee shop right up the road," and he was like, "What is that?" And I explained to him that there's batholiths and all these satanic pagan artwork and things like that, and he was blown away by it. And
Yeah.
I think the thing that's interesting is you go in there and they're such nice people.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Nobody expects that.
No one expects
no
it.
one expects it from us. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? It's kind of funny, but yeah, This neighborhood actually, all of the business owners are the nicest damn people.
Yeah.
We're just weird looking.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the same thing in high school. It's like
Yeah.
the real people, they might
Uh-huh.
people look different, but they're usually the nicest ones out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you so like there's a decent market for oddities and antiques.
I guess so.
Yeah.
We do really well during the holiday season locally.
Yeah.
Our summer, however, was all tourists.
I
It
bet.
was crazy. Yeah, we made the Atlas Obscura list, which is like a top list of weird things to do in Pittsburgh. Atlas Obscura is all over the country.
Yeah.
If you pull up Atlas Obscura, the website, you could type in a city, and it will pull up a list of all the weird things you can do there, weird, interesting things you can do.
I think I used that for whenever we went to Salem.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
But we're in the top 30 for Pittsburgh, and so when
That's
people
awesome.
are looking for things to do in Pittsburgh, they would come to us, St. Anthony's Church, Trundle Manor. There was
Trundle
Mattress
Manor is
Factory.
another place that I people have told me about. What is the St. Anthony's Church?
St. Anthony's is a giant church over in Troy Hill,
Okay.
and it has the largest collection of Catholic relics, like second to the Vatican.
Really?
So it's got like the tooth of St. Anthony. It's got like some of the sainted skulls. It's got a
Jeez.
skeleton in there too. They said they claim to have a piece of, yeah.
Oh, okay. No,
Last
I've heard
Supper.
about that.
The shrine to St. Anthony, though, with the tooth in it is beautiful. It's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have life-size stations of the cross that were like carved in wood from like Bavaria that were just restored and brought in. Like it's
Wow.
it's
Definitely
beautiful.
a place to check out.
And the thing is, the women there too. They're totally open to anybody coming in there. They'll give a tour and explain anything to anybody.
Now, is it ran by religious people at all?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. The guy, which is funny because the guy who actually owned the collection to begin with wasn't a priest. He had to become one in order to own the collection and have these approved by the Vatican. He was a doctor, and they were
Holy
like, "You can't
shit.
have these. You have to be a priest in order to have these." And he was like, "Well, then I'll be a priest." So
Wow.
that's how that happened.
Now, you yourself, did you grow up as a religious practice?
No, my parents were super open.
Yeah?
They
Yeah,
let
it's-
me do what I needed to do, and
That's cool then.
yeah.
Now,
There was no push on that.
now, so this St. Anthony's Church, it's not a practicing church?
Oh
Like
yes, it's Catholic Church. Oh yeah.
Oh, so they still have like mass and stuff?
Oh,
there? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard about that. I can't believe it. I'm gonna have to check that out now. St. Anthony's Church. Yeah, I mean, and now Nick also told me that you have this event coming up, Atrocity.
Yeah, Atrocity exhibition is coming soon. That's kind of like it is an offshoot originally of Morosa Macabre and our House of Oddities, which is mine and Aaron's collaboration. It started with us bringing a bunch of people that we knew that entertained, like that we'd met on our travels, showing
Yeah.
our artwork, back up to do one big show with all of them. And we brought DeVille up, and since then, DeVille's been a part of it. He's helped us with the theme every single year. He does most of the creative brainstorming. So he's like a core part of our creative team.
Now, if you had to give spark notes of what that is to explain people what
What the Atrocity exhibition is?
yeah. 'Cause I really don't know too much about it.
It is essentially a 360-degree living art installation. It's one story. It's like if you were watching a play, but the characters in the play were not speaking. They were doing beds of nails and burlesque and grinder acts and flesh suspension and all of these weird.
What is a grinder act?
It's where you take like a metal plate and an angle grinder and you actually control sparks.
Oh,
Sparks
okay.
out.
Yeah.
So we have like entertainers that do anything and everything. We have cabaret singers, we have tap dancers, we have people that do marionettes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we use them to all tell a story through these various characters. Like last year we did Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
And so every
each
character,
time is a different story type?
Oh yeah, every year is a different story with a different theme, and we do all the sets and all the costuming, and we kind of twist it to suit our own needs and make it our own. And with Dante's Inferno, we made it so that Dante was a corrupt priest, and Virgil was a demonic elevator operator, and Virgil put Dante in the elevator and took him down through the layers of hell. So we had this big elevator side stage that Virgil and Dante were in the whole time, and when they came to a different floor, it was a different layer of hell. So every entertainer represented a different level of hell: lust, greed, gluttony, all of that.
That's insane.
So that's kind of what we did last year. This year, we're doing the story of the Autumn People, which is basically the story of Jack-o'-lantern.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's what I whenever Nick explained what this was, I tried to look up as much as I could of it, and I saw that it was kind of an explanation of that, but I didn't know exactly what that meant. Can you give any brief background on what that is?
I mean, basically, Jack-o'-lantern is the story of Jack-o'-lantern is an Irish tale. It's the story of where the Jack-o'-lantern came from.
Yeah.
Which is basically a drunk man named Jack who made a deal with the devil, placed a bet, and was just like, if I win, you can't take me to hell. And if the devil wins, then the devil collects his soul. Well, he ended up playing a trick on the devil and winning the deal. So the devil couldn't take him to hell. But the problem was, he was not only a drunk, he was an asshole. So when he died and he went up to the pearly gate, St. Peter was like, we're not taking you, dude. You're an asshole.
Oh, wow.
And so he was like, uh-oh. So he went down to the devil and was like, can you let me in? And the devil was basically like, no, we had a deal. Remember? You're not getting in. So he said, well, what am I supposed to do? And the devil's like, I guess you're just going to have to kind of wander around out here in darkness. And he said, well, how am I going to see? And the devil handed him an ember from hell, and he carved out a turnip, put the ember in the turnip, and used it to light his way. So that's where the story of the jack-o'-lantern comes from. In our story, the Autumn People, which are the origins of Halloween, kind of like the spirits of Halloween, which are the archetypes, which are the cat, the witch, the skeleton, the ghost, all of that. They live in the in-between where Jack wanders, and Jack serves as an usher once a year to take them from the land of the dead, the in-between, to the land of the living. And so all of the characters this year are the deities of Halloween.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is intense.
Yeah, it'll be real cool.
I feel like so many people have no idea about the background of anything.
Yeah.
Like for me, for instance, like I love Halloween. I love it all, but I don't know any of the background of it.
That's why I think DeVille and I, we've served such a good, come on over. I think that's why we've served so well together as, doing all the creative stuff for this, is because we're both really into the origins of things and the stories behind everything,
Yeah.
That's kind of...
And you learn about these things just through just your curiosity. How do you decide on what you're going to make the theme of the story?
I mean, we're just sitting around bullshitting.
Yeah, it's pretty much that's it. We're just shitting around, bullshitting, and just every now and then like just a weird topic will come up in conversation, and they're like, wouldn't it be neat if ... and then next thing you know, we're doing an entire show based on late 18th century magic lantern shows and seances of like the late Victorian era.
Wow.
Yeah, that was our Phantasmagoria show, actually. 2012 we did that one.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And you guys it seems to have a great turnout every time.
Yeah, we do. We've been selling out for the first couple of years, the first 2 years, first one actually did really well. It was like 300 people.
Really?
For the
that
very
many
first
people?
One, we were like, okay,
holy
cool.
shit.
And then the second year, we stepped away from Atrocity and called it something else, and it was the exact same show. It was just called Vicious Valentines Cabaret, and we did the exact same thing. But everybody was like, when are you bringing Atrocity back? And we're like, well, that's what we just did,
Wow.
So we're like, all right, well, we'll just go back to calling it Atrocity. So third year, we did Insane Asylum. And
that's when we brought Cherry on.
Mm-hmm, that's when Cherry Bomb came on.
And that's really when like the themes just kind of spiraled out of control.
Got crazy because Cherry Bomb is a well-known queen here in the city that does phenomenal costuming and just has like the most creative imagination. I mean, can take a pile of garbage and turn it into the most amazing costume you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, made out of coat hangers and literally made out of coat hangers and
felt
felt
and hot glue.
And hot glue, like crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
And
how many years has the Atrocity been going on now?
This will be our 10th and final year.
Final year.
Yep.
Now, could I ask why you guys are stopping this?
It's a lot of work.
I bet.
Well, what a lot of folks don't realize is like the amount of planning that goes in behind Atrocity, and what makes this year even crazier is the fact that in all of the other 9 years, the past 9 years when we've done this show, we usually start our planning process. Like we come up with our idea like late summer, we stew on it, and then in January is when we start like the crowdfunding and like really getting the ball rolling on the creative process for a show that is intended to be in the middle of May.
Yeah.
This year, on the other hand, we decided to get the ball rolling, mid-August?
Yeah.
And now we have the show, like, in the middle of October, essentially. So we're taking what is 6 months of design, building, planning, and everything, and cramming it down to about a month and a half's worth of time.
Right.
Wow.
And that's because our lives have changed. We own a shop. We work other full-time jobs. It's more difficult for us to be able to find the time to do all of this planning and do all of this booking. Granted, at this point, though, we do have, a stage crew and a stage manager, and we have people doing our social media, and so we've delegated out all the stuff, but that doesn't make it any easier. And I still work a full-time job on top of running this shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on top of performing on my own and trying to create my own artwork. Now we have to create art for a vending table and make other people's costumes and paint these set pieces and run the shop and make sure we still can make it to our jobs.
Yeah. What do you do full time?
I work for Zeke's Coffee actually in East Liberty.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a coffee fiend.
Yeah,
I don't drink, so like that's what I
Fiend, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I go to. Now, you wow, that's pretty intense, the whole show of everything. Now, what kind of people do you have people of all different walks of life coming to see this, or is it
Yeah.
Because I feel like that'd be super interesting.
From goth kids to people in mom jeans.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite years as an observer of our audience because, sure, people come to watch the show, but at the same time, as entertainers and just being on stage, we're also there to watch the audience just to see, who's there, the reactions and everything. And it was a year that City Paper did a write-up about us. And essentially, it was a decent write-up, but the way they billed it was like an alternative craft fair.
Yeah.
So come doors open, we have, Diane, Helen, Barbara, and Judy that are all coming in thinking that this is like,
Girls' night.
an alternative kind of, Three Rivers Arts Festival kind of deal on Carson Street with all the kids. And then, spooky stripping started happening and then blood on stage and all. And then you watched Helen and Barbara go, we feel out of place right now. I think we need to skedaddle.
That's pretty wild. Now, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Lilith DeVille. To those that may know the face, in the Muggle world, I'm simply Art Barker, super fascinating dog behaviorist extraordinaire.
Dog behaviorist.
That's my full-time gig. Is I work with dogs for a living.
Really?
I manage a kennel at an animal hospital, and
Holy
I
shit.
deal with like crazy, odd behaviored, dogs.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, how did you get involved with that?
Essentially, it just comes from being an old country farm boy, and just when I moved to Pittsburgh, I worked a corporate job for years back in Charlotte. I originally moved up here from Charlotte, North Carolina. But when I got up here to Pittsburgh, I was just ready for something new and different, and there happened to be a facility near where I was living, and I just, for shits and giggles, thought about putting in an application, and now I'm going on over 7 years of like being,
Now, is it can you explain like what you do? So is it just you could have dogs that are? Is it like how would you explain what you do with that?
Well, so basically, like keeping it simple, I manage a facility that facilitates doggy daycare. We also kennel dogs. We board cats.
Oh, okay.
But we're also part of an animal hospital, so we have like a bunch of like special needs medical cases and stuff that come in, and we deal with all that. And
that's awesome. Do you have dogs yourself?
I do.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a pack of 3. I have a pug, a Brussels Griffon, and a Min Pin.
Oh wow. You have a good trio there.
It's my little 3 Mutketeers.
Now, are you? I'm sure that you're. Now, how do I want to phrase it? Some people have ill feelings about certain types of dogs. Like, do you said behavior specialist, so do you work with all different kinds of dogs, all different tempers?
I do.
And you kind of, do you work with dogs that are aggressive and things like that?
I do. I work with I do work with aggressive dogs. Most of my cases that I deal with specifically are dogs that just have just weird behavioral quirks. The majority of the cases, they tend to be animals that the family got because they liked that kind of dog, not really knowing what kind of dog they were getting. And then because of that, if you have a dog that's, say, a Weimaraner that should be running a minimum of 8 miles a day, but you live in a townhouse in Mount Lebanon and your dog maybe goes for a walk twice a day, they're going to take all that energy that they're not getting out and they're going to, eat your walls or destroy your couch or something. And so it's more so, it's a lot of my work with dogs is more so conditioning the people than it is
on how to take care of them,
right?
And take care of them correctly,
right?
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Now, how did you get involved with all of what you do? So my first exposure of you, I seen you before we started recording this. I seen you at Scare House. You were, what was your character?
I was the master of ceremonies for the Arcana Cabaret.
Now, you were playing the accordion, and you were also doing, I believe you stuck a nail in your nose.
Yep.
Now, how do you even get involved with doing anything like this?
So I've always been into performing arts, just like my entire life. I went to an art high school as a kid,
really,
and that's entertainment has always been a thing. I'm a classically trained mallet percussionist. Did all the music deal. I play basically. I'm a really really fancy xylophone player when it comes down to it. But I have a whole background with orchestral percussion and stuff, but along with that, I've always been into like theater and summer stock, community theater, all that
That's
jazz.
Awesome.
And then just going through college and everything, I started getting more involved in like alternative nightlife, with the goth clubs, and then I got really heavily involved in like fetish performance art.
Yeah.
And then through the fetish world is actually how I started meeting other sideshow entertainers.
What is the fetish world performance art? Probably a loaded question.
It is a bit of a loaded question because essentially it's sex performance art, but not necessarily like pornographic penetrative sex in that sense. Utilizing like bondage, like discipline and stuff like that, but from a like more of a theatrical performance aspect. Because one of my other attractants to the fetish world was just the costumes and the outfits are amazing.
Yeah, it's all visually pleasing. Very interesting too. Now you have been working with you've been working with this Atrocity for all 10 years, you said?
Since the beginning.
Wow. Now are you part of the act ever?
I am basically Yes, I started as one of the performers for the show, and then when we did Phantasmagoria 2012, that's when I was asked to be one of the narrators of the show.
Wow.
And that year I started, it was myself and Cherry Bomb as like we co-hosted together. I was a medium like at a table at a seance, and Cherry Bomb was the ghost that I had summoned.
Oh wow.
And in that show through her, she was our not avatar, but she was basically our connection to the spirit world, and so I would communicate through her, and then she would bring the ghosts in, and they would perform.
Wow! Now, whenever you guys are doing like creating the whole performance of it all, do you have like set practices where you learn would be a script? Would you say it, or is there a script, or is
basically how it works? Is all our entertainers are from all over the country.
Yeah.
They have a basic theme. They have a basic story that they are sent. This is the story this year. This is the character you are playing.
Oh, wow.
And they create their character. They have like they'll get like basically an inspiration folder. Like the year we did Alice in Wonderland, I told them it's if Alice in Wonderland was happening in an old attic or in a sewing table drawer.
Oh my
so
God.
everything was old lace and big pins, and like all the mushrooms were big pin cushions, and people were made out of silverware and scissors and random objects. So
wow.
It was almost like the cabinet of Jan Svankmajer, basically, is what it was. So we are all kind of just communicating online and via phone and via text. Like there is no rehearsal. We rehearse about 2 hours before the show. We run the whole show.
Wow. And it's one performance?
Yes.
Wow.
We do two. The last year was the first year that we did 2 nights. And then this year, since it's our last year, we're going to again do 2 nights. So that's kind of nice that, anything that went wrong on Friday, we can hurry up and fine tune it for Saturday. But it is a a rough run. Like it's just you're
Yeah.
out the gate and you're going. Fortunately, we've had a very good crew, and the crew is all local, and we meet with them pretty regularly. They know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and where the props are going to be set, and they have everything ready ahead of time. We have someone in the back sitting with a light engineer calling the light cues. We have someone sitting with the sound engineer calling the sound cues. We have 3 people moving props on and off, and they know where they need to be and when they need to be there.
How many people in this whole performance? Like with crew and performers?
With crew and performers, I would safely say probably about 30.
Wow, that is incredible.
To run and operate everything, I'd say there's 30 of us.
Where is it going to be at this year?
Rex Theater. It's been there. That's been our home for...
Wow,
Yeah,
that
the
is.
whole thing.
I keep saying
Which
wow,
is
but
also,
it's just
we have an
incredible.
advantage because we've been working there for so long that we know that place in and out. We know
Yeah.
what we can and can't do. We know how big the stage is.
I love it there.
Yeah, it's great. It really is.
That's one of my
that's what that
favorite
theater was
venues.
designed for. Honestly, it was an old opera house. Basically, it was an old vaudeville theater. Yeah, I mean that's what it was. So it was originally kind of designed for that. And on top of that, we also have 10 vendors or 10 to 15 vendors that we usually have, which are different artists that are exhibiting in the wings.
Yeah.
So there's another 22 people you add on to that. So
How long is the performance?
it lasts from about 10 to midnight, I would say, 10, 12, 30 tops. We do a little intermission in the in-between usually
Yeah.
to give everybody a little bit of a break, and allow time for the next run of entertainers. We usually put the really messy or big set acts like right before intermission and right after intermission because they're easier to set and tear down. That way we have a little bit of time. But our crew, Ed Pinto, we love you. Our crew is phenomenal. Ed Pinto builds all of our sets. Like we give him sketches and designs, and he's cutting them out and dropping them off and making things move. And last year he built an elevator with a golf ball floor so that it looked like it was shaking while they were in it. And
That's how he did it with golf balls on the
golf
ground.
ball floor. Yeah, with
Wow.
a piece of wood on it. And
I keep saying
so-
wow, but this is just all new.
It's
and
all very
so
practical.
interesting.
Everything we do is very practical. Everything is made out of, just craft store and hardware
Yeah.
store finds. Basically, is we do everything from scraps.
I apologize. I didn't bring another another microphone.
No,
I didn't
that's
know you
okay.
would be here though.
Yeah.
You're very interesting as well. You guys both are. You have you, like a dog. I didn't know. I mean, a dog behavior. Just that's why I talk to everyone because
dog
like
behaviors by day, drag queen by night. It's
yeah, it's like this is exactly why I have a podcast. I mean, like I think it's interesting because I sat on my porch one day and I was looking at the houses next to my house and I was just thinking like I'm no one and I feel like I've had a interesting life and every single person living in that house has their own life and their own story and everyone is just pretty interesting if you take the time to sit down and talk to them. And I just the oddity thing is just kind of what got the ball rolling for me. It's like I passed this place and talking to Buzzy at Work Hard, I was like, "What is that up there?" He's like, "It's oddities and like antiques and all different kinds of crazy stuff up there."
And Pittsburgh's #1 supplier of coffin nails.
Is that it? Is that for real? Pittsburgh's #1 supplier of coffin nails.
It's true, but it's also an inside joke.
I mean,
We had an article recently in the Pittsburgh Current that went over all of Allentown, and the only thing they said about the Weeping Glass is the Weeping Glass that sells novelties such as coffin nails. And that was
my
all they said
God.
about us. It was one sentence, and we were like, "Really? That's it? That's all you? That's all you took away from that experience was the coffin nails?"
out of
Got it.
everything you see in that room, that's what they got, coffin nails.
So make sure you get a selfie up front and hashtag it. I got nailed at the Weeping Glass.
I got nailed at the Weeping Glass. Wow. Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys talking to me and kind of giving me an idea of like what goes on in this place and what you guys are doing.
Craziness, right? You thought you were coming to an oddity shop. You walk in, there's set pieces, costumes, a whole workshop.
Well,
back
that's
here. You're
that's
like,
why
"Wait
I
a
was so
minute."
interested about it because I looked at that flyer and I kind of looked at them videos that you had like the was it the prelude to the what-
Dante's.
yeah.
Yeah.
The video that I watched with was it a snake preacher almost. It kind of reminded me.
That film actually was, so each year with the Atrocity exhibition, we work with an amazing film writer, filmographer, Brian Coddington, and he creates the opening film each year for the Atrocity exhibition.
Sets the scene for everything.
Yeah.
And so the Prelude to the Inferno was literally the opening film to establish the story for our version of Dante's Inferno.
Wow.
Yeah, and essentially what we do is every year when Atrocity exhibition starts, we give a good hour for people to walk around, check out the artwork, purchase what they want to purchase, find their space, the whole room will go black and the film will come on. And that basically sets the precursor for the whole night. And then the host will come out and the show will actually begin and carry on the story from where the film left off. So we're not only using visual artists in the wings, cabaret artists, drag artists, we're also using film, we're using light, we're using sound. We did a lot of we put a lot of worms in last year where we did like the girl from Ipanema. Like the elevator was playing all kinds of music that got embedded in everyone's brains. It was great.
Because you're in hell.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect when you're in hell other than just hellacious music? Like the girl from Ipanema. 15 fucking times.
What was the other one?
Oh, God. No,
Careless Whisper?
No.
Careless
Whisper was the other one. Yeah, Careless Whisper. Yeah.
That's funny.
That was the other one.
We got to the circle that was all sex involved.
Yeah.
That's wow. I'm gonna wow. Is there any place that people could go and watch these performances, or were they like recorded ever, or?
There are some videos available online, but we have the masters of all of them. There is, however, Brian Coddington did a documentary in 2015.
It was the
2000
5-year mark.
It was whatever our 5-year mark was. That's when he did it. And it's a whole documentary that shows the behind the scenes, interviews with the entire cast, the show itself, and then the aftermath of everything.
Yeah.
So it shows it from start to finish. It's called House of Oddities: The Story of the Atrocity Exhibition, and Brian Coddington is the director on that.
Okay. And then do you guys sell the masters for people to watch?
It's available on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But he was having some things because some of the music that the entertainers are using on stage is copyrighted.
Yeah.
To take
That makes
a lot
sense.
of that out and put new stuff
that fits in there.
But we have video from several years piled up at this point, so we will probably do some level of compilation after everything's over. So
Wow. All right. I appreciate you guys telling me all this. I have an ending segment. I have to ask both of you now.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, we didn't do What's in the Cup. What's in the cup? What's in the cup is, I opened it, but I was so overwhelmed with the ghost that was taking over the H6 and making it click. I forgot to ask you. So what's in the cup for you guys is Angry Orchard?
Yep.
Okay, I ask everyone that just to get the ball rolling, but you guys had no problem getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, no.
I'm very interested and very thankful for you guys to come through here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And tell me
We're
everything.
thankful for the Angry Orchard. This is like
absolutely. I'm glad that.
Indeed, I was gonna say like that's how autumn people we really are. Like everybody is like all about the pumpkin spice. Like, ooh, no, it's good apple beer time.
We just went to Delmont Apple Festival. You know what that is?
Oh yeah.
It was the worst. I mean, the
Was it
festival
really?
was cool, but
No.
the environment was terrible because it was wet and it was literally just walking around a big mud pit. So it was
yeah.
ridiculous. So Angry Orchard is what's in the cup. Now the ending segment I do is called Desert Island Questions. Are either of you a fan of The Office?
Yes.
Okay, so the episode they start the fire. Jim asks everyone their desert island questions. So I'm gonna ask you first, and then I'll ask you first after. Okay, so I give each guest 3 categories, and I give each guest 3 choices for each category to take with them on a desert island to watch, read, and listen to. Okay, so you could take. Now, the first category is to watch. You could take movies, TV, whole series, anthologies. I see you have Linda Blair on your leg. You're probably a fan of The Exorcist. So
Holy shit! I just realized you have Monster Squad on yours.
yeah, this is my favorite movie of all
That's
time.
that's
I couldn't say anything because we were in the middle of a conversation, but I was like, oh my god, like
yeah. That was one of my gateway movies.
Yeah, me too.
Like anytime I watched it, I would run into the bathroom and grab soap and put my hair into a widow's peak so
yeah.
I could be Dracula.
He was the best Dracula of all time.
Oh, he's fucking awesome.
My favorite for sure. Give me them, you bitch. Like that was the best part. My aunt and
Phoebe
uncle.
the Phoebe. Every time I have a dog at work, his name Phoebe.
I met Sean Gower
Phoebe the Phoebe.
or Andre Gower whenever he came, and they did a showing at the Hollywood Theater, and I had him sign my leg, and then I went and got it tattooed. That was like the ending of it all. But
that's awesome.
It's my favorite movie. My aunt and uncle owned a video store, and my parents never were really they never really kept me away from our movies or anything. But it was kind of like try it if you want to, and deal with the nightmares and shit later. But the Monster Squad it's my favorite. Always will be.
Yeah, no, my parents, my mom especially, was like very much the same way. She knew I was a little off the beaten path to begin with, and so she was always like, "Hey, check this out." And like I distinctly remember the first horror movie she rented for me from the video store. And like, mind you, I was like about 7, 8 at the time, was Hellraiser, because she liked Clive Barker, and she'd like read a bunch of his stuff. She's like, "Oh, this would be a good mom son like Friday movie night deal." And then we're sitting there, and she's like grabbing my face, like, "No, this is probably a bit too much for you."
All right. Okay, so you can answer first, DeVille. If 3 movies or videos, 3 things to take with you on a desert island to watch over and over again.
Oh, well, the first movie would definitely be my all-time favorite movie, which is called The Fall. It's by a director named Tarsem. It's essentially a 2.5-hour Kodak high-definition commercial. It's absolutely gorgeous, from cinematography to just story. Absolutely beautiful.
The Fall.
It's by the same director that did The Cell with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh yeah, wow, that was such an incredible movie.
The Fall, he spent it's his masterpiece. He spent 17 years scouting all the locations all over the world for it. And there's the only CGI in the movie is when it had to be used. Everything else is all practical, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
That's the worst part about all the new stuff is all the CGI.
Like it's a movie I've seen probably 50 times, but I still get like weepy and well up at the end of it.
When did it come out?
It came out about 2010, 2011.
I've never heard of it. I'm gonna have to check it out. The Cell is a slept-on movie.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Very different. I haven't watched that in probably at least a decade. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, very bizarre. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have that.
Have The Fall. See. Ooh, another movie of mine. It would have to be a silent film, but it would have to be something from the works of my all-time favorite director, F.W. Murnau, which for goth kids sounds like kind of generic, but his stuff other than Nosferatu is also equally as beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That would be.
That's all right.
It's hard to say between Nosferatu and Faust because they're both just. Faust is just It's another just gorgeous.
I don't even know what
movie.
that is.
It's F.W. Murnau's version of the story of Faust, about this medieval alchemist who basically made a deal with the devil, to get the power to make the Philosopher's Stone, the shenanigans that result from that.
Wow!
But it was made in 1926 in Berlin with UFA Studios, and so it was way ahead of its time, like special effects wise and everything, and it's another just gorgeous movie.
I'm gonna have to watch both of those. All right, now your third choice.
My third choice, probably my DVD collection of Designing Women, because
collection of Designing Women.
I am a sucker. Like, you got your Golden Girl gaze,
yeah,
but I'm a Southern boy. I love my Golden Girl gaze, but I'm a Designing Woman kind of, Sugar Baker Designs.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I don't know what that is.
It's a fantastic show from CBS from the late 80s, early 90s about 4 working women that work in a design firm and just what happens when you're just an independent woman kind of deal. It's the Golden Girls for the working age, pre-retired woman.
All right.
But it's just, very Southern, very sassy.
Designing Women.
Okay.
Okay.
So Julia, I almost like said their character name. Dixie Carter's in it. Delta Burke, Annie Potts.
Wow.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, that's the first time I've ever been given 3 choices that I've never heard of or seen any of them. So I'm excited to check those out. Now, do you read?
I do read.
Now, I ask people to take 3 books with them on a desert island. Usually people don't read anymore, so I'm happy that you said you do. Do you have 3 books that you would take with you?
I do have 3 books. My first one, I'm actually kind of a loser because I can't remember the guy's last name because it's like a really hard French name. It's a book called A History of the Devil.
Okay.
And it is a anthropological study of basically it's about the history of the devil. The author basically starts with it's all anthropology, and he starts with the beginning of civilized culture, and he goes in and finds out what that culture's idea of evil is, and then just from there basically follows history. And as world cultures grow, he follows like their ideas of evil and how that turned into the Judeo-Christian idea of what the devil is nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's just it covers everything, like I said, from like history, social anthropology, cultural anthropology. It's a really, really, really good read.
Yeah.
So and
Wow.
it's one of those. It's a book I've read it like 4 or 5 times already, and it's just I feel like I still get stuff out of it, just because he just goes super, super in depth.
I bet. Wow. Okay. Now, geez, so many things that I don't know. I guess I'm not as into it as everyone else is.
I'm just a really, really big nerd. Like when it all comes down to it,
that's good though.
I thirst for knowledge, and like the more I can just learn and know, the happier I am.
That makes sense. All right. What about a second or third book?
So, second would definitely be the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because
I know what that is.
You know,
Yeah.
he's freaking Poe, man.
Yeah.
He's like just awesome. And then my third book, because I would need something to balance everything out, something to like, you know, there's the gloomy depression, and then there's the I really need to bawl my eyes out depression. So my third book would be Sophie's Choice.
Oh, okay. I know what that is too.
So that's, that's a story that just, it gets me. That's how you know I'm in a really bad depression, is if I'm either reading or watching Sophie's Choice.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, what about music? You get 3 choices for music. Doesn't necessarily even need to be music. It could be anything to listen to. And I'll give you any medium: record, tape, vinyl.
What
whatever.
about if I brought my own instrument? Would
That's
that be-
fine too, because you were killing it on the accordion.
Well, then my accordion's definitely going with me. Because I mean, if I'm going to be on a desert island, what better place to like torture nature with honking and squeaking than in the middle of a desert island in the middle of nowhere?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to say, when I was first learning how to play the accordion, I was living with Macabre at the time, and the fact that I'm still able to walk on this earth is amazing. Because it's a really, really hard instrument just to pick up and learn. And my God, they went hours and hours and hours, and her bedroom was right next to mine.
Probably like learning the drums. Yeah, just obnoxious noises until.
And
you
I still to this
catch
day
the hang
remember
of
like
it.
the thing that drove her the craziest was I'd be playing a song, it'd be going well, I'd hit a wrong note, and then I would just stop and start the entire song all over again. And so until I got past that hump, we just kept on keeping on.
Yeah. Okay.
So definitely bring my accordion. Other albums.
It's the first time anyone brought an instrument.
Yes. See, I would have to see my second album would probably be I'll say Blood Money by Tom Waits.
Okay.
It's hard to like pinpoint an actual Waits album because
Yeah.
he's a musical god to me. But I think that's a really just good. There's not a bad track on that album.
Yeah, and I mean,
at
if you're
all.
in a desert island, you have to be able to listen to it over and over again.
Exactly. And it's another one. Yeah, that's an album that's like always like on my shuffle. Like it's always playing in the background at some point in time.
Okay.
And then for my third album, that one's really tough. Probably would be the collected works of Marlene Dietrich.
Okay.
Because I just love Marlene Dietrich. She's like my favorite cabaret singer.
I have to say that you, out of anyone, I've never been given choices with so many that I had no idea, and I'm excited to look all this up. And I'm going to listen anytime I listen through and do all the editing for all this. I'll usually write stuff down of what people say, and I'll look them up. People have told me about movies that I didn't know of, and I'm excited to check that out now. Okay, so I got 2 more questions, and I'll switch over to you. Second to last question: a death row meal. So before I ship you off, you could eat whatever you want and from anywhere, as much as you want.
That would be chicken enchiladas verdes from El Milagro in Beachview. They're the best enchilada verdes like you will probably ever have outside of Oaxaca, Mexico.
Okay.
And yeah, I can eat and again, Macabre can attest to this. I can eat that all day, every day, and not get tired of it.
It sounds good. I mean, I'd probably eat that too. Okay. Now, the last question I ask people is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's another tough one.
That's all right. Take your time. I'll cut out any downtime anyway.
Ooh, yeah, I know.
I'm so upset. I'm ill prepared, and I didn't bring it. I wish I had another microphone cable because we could have had it. I usually never have more than one guest on at a time, just because like 2 people talking, it's usually like I ask one person something and you have to switch over to another person. But you know, it's I think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, not trying to be safe, but to be a little bit safe, tying back to one of my favorite album choices, it would be Tom Waits.
Yeah.
That's a man that I really would love to just sit down with a bottle of whiskey and a cigar and just be like, go. Just talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. My choice is Robin Williams. Like, I think he would be someone fascinating to just sit there and talk with. And usually, I mean, it's by people's answers, you can kind of learn a little bit about them for the last few questions. All right. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your appearance on here. Promote anything you want.
Oh, goodness. Well, dropping some promotions. Well, friends, if you're here in the Pittsburgh area, you can catch me every Wednesday night at the Blue Moon Bar. I host the American Horror Story viewing party.
Yeah.
So I do start my recap at 9:45, show at 10.
What do you think about the new season?
I'm loving it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just caught up with everything yesterday.
So far, I'm really digging it. Like I'm waiting for that Ryan Murphy jumping the shark.
Yeah.
Because it happens every time.
Yeah.
Last week's episode had the potential of going there, but I felt like it took a nice little left turn.
Yeah.
So I'm really digging it.
It's the last week was the one about his backstory about him being the warlocks came and got him, and he went through all the tests. Oh yeah, that was it's intense.
Yeah,
the season's intense.
It is. It
definitely
really is. I'm really digging it. And then outside of that, aside of the Atrocity exhibition, October 19th and 20th at the Rex, you can also find me every Sunday, again at the Blue Moon Bar. I hosted an evening called Sissy Sunday. It's a late evening tea dance from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I play just like old school Motown, soul, funk, disco, 80s stuff. Just, stuff that's fun to listen to on a Sunday evening. It allows you to get out of the house, have a drink or two, but still get home, get the kids to bed, and be like somewhat of a decent human being. Come Monday morning.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. All right. Now you kind of got the cheat code to it all. You kind of got to hear the
I
questions.
still don't know half of what I'm going to say.
That's all right. Take your time.
These are all difficult.
I could cut out any downtime.
Okay. So first one was 3 things to watch.
3 things to watch. You can choose whatever you like.
Those were easy, right off the top of my head. It would be Night of the Hunter.
Okay.
It would be The Innocents.
Okay.
Innocent with a T. And then the last one would be Twin Peaks.
Okay, so I know what Twin Peaks is.
And I would take Twin Peaks through like the original series into the finale that just happened not too long ago that Lynch just put out.
Now, I have not seen Twin Peaks yet. My wife has watched it, and I have to get it. But there's so much good shit out to watch nowadays.
You have to watch it. There's a reason why it is a cult classic. You have to watch it from the original series, Firewalk with Me, the film, right into the new series.
I'll watch it.
It's so good.
It's on my queue. My buddy just recently gave me his online database of all these incredible. He has like 1,500 movies. There's things from. You guys familiar with Fred Vogel?
Mm-mm.
I guess he's a local horror movie creator that. If you type in the most fucked up horror movie of all time, his name comes up.
Oh, right on.
And I'm trying to talk to him next because he does a lot of. I guess one of his movies people called the police on him because they thought it was a real snuff film. So he does like all these effects that are very, very realistic. And I mean, I don't know. I really don't know too much about him, and that's what I feel makes the podcast good as far as a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you got now. What were your first two movies? Like, what are those?
Night of the Hunter.
Yeah.
It's a black and white film.
Okay.
Starring Robert Mitchum. It's about a crooked priest.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen him, where he's got the love tattooed on one hand and hate tattooed on the other hand. It's like an iconic tattoo.
Yeah.
And he's basically a crooked priest, where these children's father knock off a bank and give the children the money to hide. And
Really?
he goes to prison, and this priest finds out that where his family lives, he's hung because he killed some guy when he was robbing them. And the crooked priest then goes, or man of God, we should say, he's not an actual priest, he's like a reverend, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's like revival reverend, southern accent, just a dirty, slimy piece of shit. Figures out that this family has the money hidden somewhere, and so he kills the mother and goes after the children, and it's all about these kids trying to get away.
Is this
from
an
him.
older movie?
Oh yes, it was
Okay.
black and white, and the art direction on it is so good. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to check all these out.
It's all done almost in silhouettes and like using
Jeez.
lighting, and it's just an absolutely beautiful film, even in black and white. And then The Innocents was the other one, and that's spelled T-S, not Innocence with a C.
Okay.
And that is a British film, and it is again about some creepy children, where a governess is called to this house to watch these two children who happen to be possessed by the former governess and her lover.
Wow.
And it's a really intense film. It was actually banned in the UK for a long time because of the sexual tension between the young boy and the new governess, because he's actually possessed by a grown man.
Wow.
So, and how uncomfortable that whole thing was. So they banned it for a while in the UK.
I'm so overwhelmed by all this
It's
these new
so
things
good.
to add to
Yeah,
my
it's so
watch
good.
list.
All practical
Wow.
effects, all, just great art direction.
All right.
Great art direction. Yep.
Okay. Do you read?
I do read.
Okay. You have 3 books?
I do have. So recently, this is so nerdy.
That's all right.
I just bought the Twin Peaks dossier, so it wrapped everything up in a nice little bundle for me. It was very nice. So I have all their files and everything, so
Okay.
I can go back through.
I have all their files and everything.
I have all their files and everything.
My wife loves it, and she was late to the game, and she watched the original up to the new ones, and I have a lot of friends that love it too, and I know that I would love it. Like I enjoy a lot of stuff. I just haven't got around to watch it yet.
Yeah, that might be one of them. Just because all I brought to watch was Twin Peaks, so it's just kind of like, wow.
It's all right.
I mean, I guess I should have like the literature to go along with it.
Yeah, you can get all crazy and
right.
kind of deconstruct it all.
The second would be the Mephisto Waltz. Would definitely be my next one. And that one is about the devil basically using other people's body as a vehicle, and throughout time he creates these death masks on people, and that's how he's able to take their souls, is through these death masks.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so this woman whose husband is a pianist, she starts to realize that he's acting weird because he's working with this other famous pianist, and like his playing is becoming different and his behavior is becoming different, and she can't really figure out why. And she soon starts to find out that essentially this old man inhabited her husband's body, and the woman is coming after her. So
Jeez.
it's really intense.
Yeah,
it's
it
one of
sounds
those
intense.
books where like I was actually uncomfortable in a house by myself reading it.
Wow.
I had to put it down a couple of times, but it's so good. The story is it's such an engrossing story. Like you are sucked into it. But
right.
it was made into a movie at some point. I think in like the 70s or 80s. I think it was a movie.
Yeah.
But I never actually saw that film. I only
Probably
read
not
the
as
book.
good as the book.
Yeah, I only read the books. And then the last one would be a book that I have been reading since I was a kid, actually, and it's called Behind the Attic Wall.
Okay. What's that?
It's basically a story about this girl who is an orphan, and her 2 aunts own a girls' boarding school that's empty. Basically, they just live in this big school, and she's just a problem and has been sent there for the summer. And she's miserable and skinny and chews on her hair and just, hates everything. And so she's super difficult. She ends up going into the attic and finding this secret room where there's these dolls set up at a table. and soon like the dolls actually begin to speak to her and like take her into kind of their world. But it turns out that these dolls are actually ghosts.
Really?
They're not. Yeah, they were people that had already lived there because like one of her friends, who's like the caretaker of the place, an old man, ends up dying, and then she sees a tiny bowler cap and a cane in the corner up in the attic, and so he's the next doll that comes along. But they're like these old weird porcelain dolls, and like they eat sawdust, and like the wallpaper is made of roses, and so they call it the rose garden. And like it's really interesting. But in the end, this girl becomes like really healthy. Like, you know, she's like puts on weight, and like her hair is nice, and she's got a better attitude because of like her relationship with these spirits in this place.
Yeah, almost like friends.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
So-
jeez, there's
so
so
that
much
was a really
stuff
cool
I have
book,
to
yeah.
I have to get on my list. And now, say it again. What was it called?
It's called Behind the Attic Wall.
Behind the Attic Walls. And you
And-
said you've been reading this
since I was probably 10 or 12.
Now you've just reread it over and over again.
Yeah,
or,
I read it
okay.
every few years. I read it
Okay.
every few years. It's a really good book. My grandmother even ended up borrowing it because my grandmother made porcelain dolls.
Yeah.
My grandmother read it. My mother read it. It's a really easy read, but it's just one of those stories that's very nostalgic for me.
That's awesome.
You know, it's one of those books that stuck with me when I was a kid, and I carried it into my adulthood. I own a copy of it. It's still I own. I lost my original and bought one on Amazon.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So many wows and G's in this podcast. There's so much new things
Wows.
so many things to learn.
Wait till we get to music. Oh my God.
Yeah,
What
I'm
are you gonna
curious.
do?
I'm curious. What about music now? 3 choices.
Oh, what about music now? I'm all over the board when it comes to music. Right now, I am totally obsessed with The Caretaker.
Okay.
So that would be one of my choice. An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, particularly that album. And The Caretaker is it is a project by a man named Leland Kirby, where he basically was first inspired by the Shining's ballroom scene.
Okay.
And how they're playing the weird old music, and you hear all the people talking and the glasses clinking.
Yeah.
And how very nostalgic that sound is. But An Empty Bliss Beyond This World was inspired by he was sitting in an old folks' home in the lobby, and there was a Victrola playing, and he was just sitting there with his eyes closed, listening to the music on the Victrola and the shuffling of feet and the sounds of people murmuring. And so he created this entire album that sounds like old music on a Victrola playing, but there's like, it's layered with, it's an experiment in amnesia. So basically these sounds, even though you may have never heard them before, are familiar to you.
Yeah.
So it's about an hour and a half long, the entire project. It's like one continuous track the whole way through, but it's really cool. It's calming. It's a very nostalgic kind of calm.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. And then if I were to take another piece with me,
MC
music
Hammer?
with me- yes. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. That was my first cassette.
Along with your doll?
Much to my dad's. Yeah, I wanted the one in the purple lame, but I got the one in the gold lame. I was very upset because it didn't have. Yeah, it didn't have the cassette. They came with cassettes, and I needed the specific single.
Yeah.
And the purple one came with the one that I wanted. I don't even remember what it is now. Actually, I would take Weightless with me to help me sleep, because Weightless is this experiment in sound too that actually puts you into a deeper sleep. It calms your body, so any anxiety, anything, like you fall asleep instantly. You can listen to it on YouTube.
Okay.
It's like 10 hours long, but there's certain frequencies and like different bass levels and whatnot that are going on that actually help you not only go to sleep pretty instantly, but actually get a restful sleep and keep you in that REM.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
the REM cycle.
Okay. You have a
So
third choice, or
that
are you
would be
taking
my
MC
second
Hammer?
one. Oh man, do I want to take MC Hammer? I don't know. I might throw myself into the ocean on the island if I'm listening to MC Hammer over and over again. You know. Oh God, what the hell would I listen to? I mean, it's a toss up. So I would use Weightless. It comes in handy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a survival. But at the same time, do I take Susie Sue or do I take Typo Negative?
Oh.
You know, I don't know what to do there. I'm kind of like...
I'll let you take both.
Okay, all right. I'll take both of them.
There you go.
All right. I'll take October Rust.
Typo Negative.
Yeah.
I definitely know who they are.
Yeah, there you go. We nailed
all right.
one.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of you guys' choices, I knew two things. I feel loaded up with all kinds of stuff to research and look into.
Cool.
Death row meal.
Oh God, I would probably want like a steak with like a baked potato and some broccoli.
Oh yeah.
Or, like a loaded okay, if I'm dying, it's gonna be like a loaded baked potato. It's gonna have a bunch of bacon on it and sour cream.
Okay.
Maybe a pierogi.
Oh,
Definitely. Like
I had pierogies at that Delmont Apple Festival that were they were the
Church
best
lady
pierogies
pierogies? Yeah.
I've ever had.
Hell
They were the
yeah.
best. They were all fried, real crispy.
Nice.
They were incredible for sure.
But I think I'd take a medium well steak. I'm pretty sure maybe like some asparagus and blue cheese wrapped in there and grilled
Oh
up.
yeah.
Let's do
That's
that.
right up my alley.
Knowing you though, you would eat all of that, and even though it's like your final last meal, you'd be mad that you ate all that food, and you'd be sitting there like, "Why did I do this to myself? I'm gonna die."
I eat
Like,
until
well,
I'm
actually,
sick.
You are gonna die.
I eat until I'm sick. It's terrible.
It would be the first time I spoke those words and it was true.
It's terrible.
Like, I just want to die. Well, don't worry.
Yeah, soon enough.
It's coming.
And if you could talk with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
That was the one where I was like, damn.
Yeah, I mean,
Who the hell would I want to hang out with? Alive or dead? Who would I want to hang out with? There's so many people. I can't
Right?
mess this up.
it's hard to whittle it down. That's why, like, I sit there and I think, and I was like, Robin Williams, like,
Yeah, he would be
It's-
a great conversation.
I listened to him on Mark Maron, and that's like one of the only conversations where he actually like sat down and had like a long, unedited conversation. And the guy was obsessed with dolls. He had like, did you know that he had like a crazy obsession with like action figures and dolls? And like, I mean, it just is crazy to think that he was the genie in Aladdin. He was addicted to cocaine and other drugs and alcohol, and
Yeah.
so deep and dark in depression. And I just think he would be the most interesting person in the world to talk to.
Yeah. I don't know. Man, what angle am I going for, though? What angle am I going for talking to this person? See, that's the problem. I don't know what angle I'm going for. Because, I mean, two artists off the top of my head, I already know who I would pick. But I don't want to, shoot my hole.
Doesn't talk about it.
I don't want to do that to myself. God. You know what? I'm going to say something because I'm just saying it, and then I'm going to regret it later. I'm going to be like, damn it, I should have said.
That's all right.
That's okay. I'm already doing that now.
Oh, really? Okay, see, I'm at, like, Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, wow. He would be incredible to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, it would be Del Toro or, like, Svankmajer, I'd say, if I could understand him. But it would be Svankmajer if I'd have to have a Polish, like, translator, though. But I think Svankmajer would be fascinating, like listening to him just speak in general about his films, I mean, so that's like that. Those are like my art crushes where I'd be like, oh my God, let me just talk to you about your art. But I mean, I'm sure later I'm going to be like, I
Yeah.
should have asked somebody for like the cure to something.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's. I mean,
Later.
usually people will say something and then they'll text me or something and say like, "This is really what I was thinking of."
yeah,
But,
damn it. Yeah.
all right. Well, I appreciate you both very, very much for kind of taking time out, especially in this last week before all this takes
yeah,
place.
I'm so sorry. My props just came in the middle
No,
of your
no.
podcast.
This whole podcast, like people were real anal about like everything as far as like sound and everything. I'm not anal about it. I would have loved to brought another microphone, but I like the whole ambience of it. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing with the clicking microphone, I have to keep in the beginning because I feel like that there was a reason that happened. Yeah, that's gonna add to it. Yeah, it's a real woo. But go ahead, take any time, promote anything you'd like to promote.
I mean, basically, right now, upcoming is the Atrocity exhibition. It is
Yeah.
October 19th and 20th. It is one show, 2 different nights. We are doing the Autumn People, the story of Jack-o'-lantern this year. We have sideshow and burlesque and cabaret and tap dancing and marionettes coming in from all over the country. We have 10 visual artists that will all be exhibiting and selling their work. I have a crew that puts so much work into it. We're going to have a lot of fun. Bring your costume. Come up with something crazy because our costumes are all going to be crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, it is super Halloween. It is. I mean, we are going to throw candy, and it is Halloween party for adults, 100%.
Side question. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh shit, man. Okay, Reese's cups.
Okay.
Like not the pieces. It's got to be the cups. Although they used to have these things called Mr. Bones. I don't know if you remember them or not.
Mr. Bones.
They came in little plastic. Yeah, those things.
I don't remember.
And Aaron will tell you the exact same thing. We've had many conversations about Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones and Reese's cups. DeVille, what about you?
Favorite Halloween candies.
Twizzlers too.
Oh, Twizzlers are pretty
I love
good.
a Twizzler. Kit Kats. I love a Kit Kat.
I mean, I'm also a big sucker for some like mini Milky Ways. I do like a good mini Milky Way. I do enjoy a Hershey bar, Hershey Tombstone.
I'm really not picky.
So no, not really. I mean, as long as
keep your
long as it's not
popcorn balls.
like Mary Jane's,
popcorn balls. Those are like the original kettle corn.
Right.
What it was, you're like, this popcorn is the best thing I've ever had in my life. It's just kettle corn.
I remember like when as a kid trick or treating, there would always be that neighbor that would give the popcorn ball.
Yeah.
And my mom would whenever my mom would go through my candy, she'd be like, "Who gave this to you?" "That came from Miss Gloria." "Okay, you can have it."
Yeah.
Like that was like the one.
The hugs, the little like juice.
Oh yeah,
Oh
Huggies.
yeah.
100%. I never was able to bring them home because while I was trick or treating, I would just pop them with my teeth.
Oh no, yeah.
Just
We had a
chug
neighbor
them
that always
down.
gave away like the little like mini Shasta cans of pop.
Yeah.
Or like the wax bottles with the juice inside.
Yep. Yep. Those were good. And
God,
and
we're so old.
The flying saucers with the little all kinds of good stuff. All right, I really appreciate it again. Anyone that's listening, follow me on social media. I'll call you right back on Instagram. @ICYRE Podcast on Twitter. I'll call you right back on YouTube. Email me. I'll call you right back. Let me know who you want on here, who you don't want on here, what you like, what you dislike. Call me a piece of shit, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it. Thanks again, you guys. Call you right back.
Absolutely.